That's why I'm worried teams will become infatuated, because when he does do it, there's just not many who can do it better than him. Here, Washington is disguised. Force him into action before he's ready, instead of letting him sit and learn. Come draft day, a team will fall in love, rush him to start, and he, unfortunately, will fail. Think center, not one. He has all the ingredients of an overdrafted bust. There are too many struggles to regularly hit routine throws. His mechanics are not consistent enough to replicate over and over, and his game isn't developed enough to prove he is even decent at truly playing the quarterback position. Heck, he's never even taken a snap under center, not one. He has all the ingredients of an overdrafted bust. There are too many quarterback-needy teams who will force him into action before he's ready. Consistently there, and that's the problem. Scouts want the size, arm strength, and quote-unquote prototype quarterback, and Herbert can occasionally package it all together, but historically, those attributes don't often lead to successful prospects at the position. Herbert struggles to regularly hit routine throws. His mechanics are not consistent enough to replicate over and over, and his game isn't developed enough to prove he is even decent at truly playing the quarterback position. Heck, he's never even taken a snap under center, not one. He has all the ingredients of an overdrafted bust. There are too many quarterback-needy teams who will force him into action before he's ready, instead of letting him sit and learn. Come draft day, a team will fall in love, rush him to start, and he, unfortunately, will fail.
Noosa, full-on tasty yogurt.
Get up, and tomorrow night the biggest decision that will be made in the NFL draft is this. Which quarterback goes second? Will it be Tua Tagovailoa, who had the highest QBR of any player, any quarterback, since ESPN introduced that stat in 2004? Or will it be Justin Herbert, who right now Vegas thinks is going to be the fifth pick in this draft and the second quarterback? He counted for 32 touchdowns last year and over 3,400 yards. Again, Mel Kiper's latest mock draft has Herbert going 5 to the Dolphins and Tua 6 to the Chargers. That would result in 3 quarterbacks going in the first 6 picks. So we're going to do something here that we call Make Your Case. And we're going to do it this way. Mike Tannenbaum is going to try and make the case for taking Justin Herbert. Dan Orlovsky is going to make the case for taking Tua Tagovailoa. And Neek, you're the judge, and I'm told I need to see your gavel. Oh, yeah. Gavel. We are ready to go. So, Neek, you are the judge. The eyes of justice are blind. Here we go. Mr. T, what is the case for Justin Herbert over Tua?
We're actually going to start with the Oregon defense of all things. When you go to opening day, Justin Herbert led Oregon to the lead, and Oregon's defense against Auburn had Auburn down to a 3rd and 10 with the lead, and their Bo Nix made a great completion. And if that play doesn't happen, Oregon, a one-loss Oregon team, is actually in the Final Four. Next play is, look at his ability to run. Big play against Wisconsin. They're down in the 4th quarter. He avoids a tackle. He's able to outrun the defense. Very athletic. Okay, here's the play with Bo Nix here. That play keeps him out of the Final Four. Next play up here, Justin Herbert avoids the tackler, and then he outruns a really good Wisconsin defense to give them the lead in the Rose Bowl. That's hard to do. Here's his ability to process. Read the defense, make a throw, accurate, against a really good Utah defense. And lastly, my concern, Greeny, about Tua, watch when he breaks contain here. He can't outrun a defensive lineman. If you look at some of the recent injuries in the NFL between Carson Wentz, Jimmy G, when did they get hurt? When they try to break contain. So when you look at where Tua struggles and what Herbert can do, I'm taking Justin Herbert.
Okay, that is a very strong case for Justin Herbert. Dan Orlovsky, how about your side?
With Tua Tagovailoa, you're getting a player that 6 months ago was the #1 pick in the NFL draft. You're getting a player that one of the greatest coaches of all time has said and turned to at halftime of the national championship game 2 years ago and said, I need you to go win this game for me. That great coach has said, passing on him, you will regret the same way I regret passing on Drew Brees. And that same coach has said Tua is the most important person to ever come to the University of Alabama as a player. You're getting a player that has the accuracy of Orlando Bloom with his arrows in Lord of the Rings. A player that sees things the way Drew Brees does in the pocket, and a player that moves in the pocket like Floyd Mayweather does in a boxing ring. You're getting a player that could be the greatest passer all time in the history of college football. Tua was born for this. He's already made for this, and he's custom built for this. So if you're the Miami Dolphins, are you willing to pass on a chance at greatness? Are you willing to pass on a player that could become the best player at the most important position? If you're the Chargers, do you want to be the same old Chargers? Because Joey Bosa and Derwin James, they're great players, but they're not going to sell out your stadium or take you to a championship. A lot of us grew up playing Little League Baseball, and we had
Anyone who was watching Get Up and leading up to the draft knows, Mike Tannenbaum, you were super high on Justin Herbert at a time that a lot of other people were not. So I guess I would ask you, I mean, to quote Ryan Clark's tweet, is it possible the Dolphins drafted the wrong guy?
Well, the reality is it's just way too soon for all these guys. Burrow, Herbert, we haven't even talked about Jordan Love, who we may not see for 2 more years, but what we saw in Oregon is the same thing we're seeing now. This guy is Ben Roethlisberger. He can make all the throws. He's big. He's fast. He outran leverage a couple of times the other night against the Saints. And he has a rocket for an arm, and he's high character and smart. So, to me, he had checked every box. And I've been influenced a lot by Coach Parcells, who always talked about being built to last. And you look at Justin Herbert, he is built to last. And that's why I thought from tangibles, intangibles, it was all there. And I'm not surprised by his success. And I think as it relates to Tua, I see a little bit different than RC from this standpoint. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm hoping I made a 10-year decision. Why rush it? You know, Greeny, we saw it with Chad Pennington a decade ago, where Chad sat for a couple of years under Testaverde, and when he started, he just took off. So, yeah, I would preach patience with Tua. He's been hurt in the past. Ryan Fitzpatrick plays good football, not elite, but good competitive football. So why rush a 10-year decision until you're absolutely sure that he's ready to go?
Desmond, take us. Ryan's raising his hand. I can't ignore that. I have to go to Ryan Clark when he's raising his hand. Go ahead, RC.
If we are looking at Justin Herbert like Ben Roethlisberger, although I think he's much better physically than Ben Roethlisberger was as a rookie, and Tua Tagovailoa turns into Chad Pennington. No disrespect to Chad Pennington. Good football player. Not a great football player. If Tua Tagovailoa turns into that, you made a mistake because Justin Herbert is a star. Period. If that's what he ends up being, you were wrong. You made a bad decision. That wasn't the right pick.
True. Fair enough. Let me get guys in here quickly. Desmond Howard, just take us back. Again, you cover all these guys. In your mind, Herbert versus Tua. Which one would you have taken first?
Oh, man. I loved Herbert when he was in Oregon. I thought he had all the measurables and he can make all the throws. But Tua has been just so sharp. I mean, he's so accurate as a passer that I don't think it's a bad pick to take Tua. And I think Tua is going to be a franchise player. So I still think the Dolphins picked the right quarterback.
And quickly, Dan Graziano, what sense are you getting that the Herbert situation is creating extra pressure in Miami to get Tua on the field?
None. I think to Mike Tannenbaum's point, like this is a long-term situation for Miami. They want to make sure it's right long-term. Look, I didn't talk to anybody pre-draft that had Justin Herbert over Tua. That includes the people who loved Herbert, excuse me. I think if the picks had been Tua would be a Charger at this point, and Herbert would be a Dolphin. So, yeah, I think this is a new one. RC writing off a guy before he's even played a game. I think it's a little bit strong, RC. I might be with Marty Spears on this.
That's not what
might be.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube.
Tua, Herbert, or Burrow? Who would you take moving forward? Tua, Herbert, or Burrow?
I mean, just looking at it right now in a vacuum, man, I mean, these 3 guys, I mean, you say Justin Herbert. Skip, I didn't see this in Oregon. I mean, I knew he was athletic because I saw him run wild in Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl, but I never saw him throw the ball like he's throwing it right now. And I guess that's the hardest thing is that when you project, Skip, you're like, this guy can be really, really well. And that's what they did with Daniel Jones. It's like, well, he's throwing the ball well, but who is he throwing to? None of these guys from Duke is going to go play in the NFL. And so that you got to factor that in. So, okay, once you put talent around him, I'm looking at Justin Herbert. Skip, he's second in the league in passing yards behind Russ. He had 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I did not see this And I understand, we have a high grade on him, but this is one thing, Skip. Okay, the guy, throwing for 250 yards a game, but second as a rookie in the league in passing? Nah, I didn't see this. I think Joe Burrow has been unbelievable given the situation, and I like what I saw with Tua, and I believe he's only going to get better as we move forward. But right now, it says, okay, Shannon, you got what? I'm gonna take this kid at the Chargers. And moving forward, Skip, do you trust Cincinnati? Do you really trust Cincinnati? Mm-hmm. I just hope A-Len can turn this thing around, my former teammate, with the Chargers, and continue to grow. But I like Tua. I just think Tua's going to improve. He's a little behind where the other guys are because this is only a second start. But Skip, the comparison's going to be there. It's going to be like 83. You got Kellen Marino and Elway. And
you hope it's going to be.
But I'm saying that's going to be the comparison. Right. With Tony Eason and Kenny O'Brien was also in that draft. And then you get 04, where you got Eli, Phillip Rivers, and Big Ben. And so now you have another trip, set. And you, like you said, hopefully they're like this. But the question is, when you look at the 04 draft, Skip, who do we say the best? Because Eli has 2 Super Bowls with two Super Bowl MVPs. Big Ben has 2 Super Bowls with no MVPs. And Phillip Rivers has a ton of yards and a ton of touchdowns. So ultimately, how are we going to measure these guys is going to be by championships. Because, and do we believe, I think Tua has the best chance to get the first championship. I don't see Cincinnati. Cincinnati and Super Bowl don't even go together.
They did once upon a time.
Back in the 80s, Kenny Anderson and Boone, my former partner at CBS Boone.
Yep. Like you. I watched Justin Herbert a lot at Oregon. I didn't remotely see this. I saw him too often in big games in the Pac-12 just come unglued.
Not to cut you off, but you remember they opened the season. They played in Jerry World. They played Auburn.
They did.
And I'm like, y'all talking about this guy could possibly be the number 1 pick in the draft?
Nope.
No way.
He would unravel. Big turnovers, big moments.
Yep.
Sort of go blind. Just didn't seem to see the field. I don't know what it is about pro football that suited him, but this suits him. I also think that's a good football team.
Yeah.
There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle there.
They got some weapons.
Which is why I couldn't believe they didn't go get Cam. I thought this is made for Cam, SoFi Stadium.
Right.
And I thought Cam could take this team places. They could go a distance in the playoffs. But instead, they go 6th overall. They pick Justin Herbert, and it looks like not a good pick. It looks like all-time great pick.
You got Keenan Allen, you got Hunter Henry, you got the Williams kid, they got Eckler. Skip, they got some talent.
Eckler's not even there right now.
Right, but I'm saying they got some talent on the offensive side.
Okay, he doesn't have much to show for it yet in his record because he's 1-6.
Right.
But 17 touchdowns to only 5 picks.
He's a little bit.
6 feet 6 inches tall, and he can run.
Yeah.
So he's averaged 5 yards a run on 33 carries. That'll work. His QBR is way up at 73 and he's lost 6 games and he still has a QBR 73.
They should have won Sunday, Skip. He had the guy that got dropped when he hit the
ground. They should have won
ground.
about 4 of them.
They really should have. They really should have.
I got it, and I hope your man survives,
Yes.
Anthony Lynn.
He got to get some wins.
Okay, I dug in on Joe Burrow before the draft, and I'm still there. I would still take him long-term over Justin Herbert. And it's because his degree of difficulty is so high. It's not a good football team. In fact, it's been a divided football team. Carlos Dunlap, somebody's always unhappy and wants out, right? Everybody wants out.
Yep.
And yet he's kept them together enough to go 2-5-1. He's 67% of his passes. He's 11 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. And he's got athletic ability.
Yeah.
He's a good high school basketball player. And at 6'4", he can run.
Yeah.
He can escape. But what I like the most is his mental and physical toughness under siege without much protection is spectacular.
And that's what concerns me, Skip, is that he's taking some punishment.
He is.
He's taking hits and he's taking sacks.
Yeah.
So that's what concerns me about him long term. How much of that is he going to be able to withstand? They got to give him some protection.
Yep. He's got swagger, he's got competitive fire, and he's got accuracy. You can't teach it or coach it, but he is deadly accurate. We saw him go on the greatest run through the college, sort of the second half of the college season we've ever seen anybody be on, including Kyler and Baker before him.
Yeah, no quarterback has ever had a season like this.
No, never. And he has done even better than I thought he could for a really bad football team.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, I hope he just doesn't get flat out hurt
Right.
where he just can't go anymore. But if they do have another low pick and they can begin to build around him and get him some protection and some more weapons, boy, I just love how he's made. I love his makeup as much as his physical ability.
Because you look at Justin Herbert in college, in the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever you call it, they throw the ball a bunch. He averaged 248 yards passing a game. You look at Joe Burrow, he averaged 378. Tua averaged 315. So you expect these guys to be able to throw the ball, but 248 in college is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you threw for 248 a game in college? Where you play?
Yeah, who are you talking about? Are these guys like
last year, Justin Herbert averaged 248.
Oh, yeah, last year. I know, I got it.
Yeah, and I'm like, if you say you threw for 248, they're like, would y'all run the wishbone?
No, now he's 307,
Yes.
which ranks
Second
third.
behind Russ.
Yeah, well, it's third most per game.
Yes.
His total yards
Yes.
behind Russ. I got it. Joe Burrow's averaging 284 a game, which is really good
Right.
for a bad football team.
Yes.
So I would stick Burrow, Herbert, Tua. Tua did impress me at Arizona. Doesn't exactly have a rifle.
No.
It's a soft arm. It's like soft ice cream, but he's accurate.
That's all, you like that soft serve?
Yeah.
You know who served more ice cream than anybody? Dairy Queen and McDonald's. But the McDonald's machine is already broke, always broke, so they go to Dairy Queen.
Is that what
The most ice cream, soft serve.
Really?
Yeah, I love them soft serve. Yeah.
I did
DQ.
too when I was a little kid.
They did that.
We love the new apartment.
There is a bit of a clogging problem.
Good the rookies have looked. Joe Burrow has been so good in Cincinnati. Herbert has been so good. And now, I know it's a small sample size, but very impressive from Tua this past weekend. What are you hearing around the sport about these rookie QBs?
I think it's a great young crop of quarterbacks. You look at Tua last weekend justifying the decision to go to him, and I think a lot of people wondered if the Dolphins were making the right move. And clearly, when you watched him play, it looked like they were. It looked like they knew something that other people didn't. Tua was very impressive in that win. Joey Burrow has been fantastic this year when you watch him play, and he has shown great signs for the future. And Justin Herbert has been probably the most impressive of the group so far to date. He looks like he's going to be in a division with Patrick Mahomes, with those two dueling it out, and he's having similar success to what Mahomes did in his first season as a full-time starter for the Chiefs, putting up those kinds of numbers. He's been athletic, smart, sharp, runs, throws, deep balls, touch, accuracy. Justin Herbert is a shining star in this league.
No question. And I think he'd be getting more attention if he played on a team that got more attention, or if they had won some of these games they've lost. Every single loss they have this year has been a one-possession loss so far. So, Lewis, you know where the conversation goes because, we are professional overreactors. There are legendary quarterback classes in NFL history. The most famous of them all was 1983. There were 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round that year. 3 of them are in the Hall of Fame today. 2004, much more recent vintage, you see them there. Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger all went in the first 11 picks. I think it's a safe bet that all of them will wind up in the Hall of Fame. It's obviously early to be making any sort of historical comparison, but when you look at these 3 guys, what do you think we're seeing the beginning of?
I think the NFL is in good hands right now as far as young quarterbacks are concerned. There's no question. I think that many of these teams have to still prove that from a total perspective, a total team perspective, that they can put enough around these young players to where they start to win consistently. Because all of those guys that you saw on those lists from 1983 and 2004, they all played on winning teams. They all played on teams that made it to the Super Bowl except for Phillip Rivers. And that's what is ultimately they're going to be judged by. That's what ultimately all quarterbacks are judged by. How good were your teams? How many Super Bowls did you play in? And how many Super Bowls did you win? And look, Cincinnati has a long way to go as far as building out that roster around Joe Burrow. Miami under Brian Flores looks as though they are on their way for sure. They have the right culture. They are getting better and better players. And the Chargers just have to somehow figure out a way, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to be able to close out games. Because, look, Justin Herbert, where he has come from in terms of the type of offense that he ran at Oregon, to then going through all the training camp expecting Tyrod Taylor to be the starter for this year and him going to sit, then getting his first starting assignment with about 1 minute's notice to come out and play the way he has played, That's just absolutely, insanely good how he has looked. So all these guys, the sky's the limit. The teams just have to do right by them and make sure the rest of the roster is strong.
And you know what the conversation will be for a long time, Nick, if these guys all do wind up being around for a long time. Did they go in the right order? The order in which they went was Burrow, Tua, Herbert. Is your sense right now they went in the right order?
Yeah, it feels about right to me. I think it's a little early on Tua, but the way that we see Herbert playing right now, it's been astronomical. I guess you could argue that maybe he's the best one of this class, but I feel like Burrow does not have the same support that you would want for your young quarterback, and he is still the type of guy that you drop into an organization and now everything's looking up going forward. So I think the order is probably right. I like the Miami situation more than anything else. So how much success they have, we're talking about Super Bowls is how we're going to judge them. Everyone knows that those Super Bowls are going to be more dependent on everything around them than just them specifically. So I suspect that the situation down there in Miami is set up for more success. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to look at Tua, and maybe as long as he stays healthy, he might have the best, most accomplished career out of any of these three guys.
Now, one way or another, certainly we're in good hands, or the league is in good hands with these young players. Joe Burrow has taken something of a beating behind that offensive line in Cincinnati this year, but he's shown no fear.
Tua, I can look at the numbers, Chris, and say he hit 300 yards for the first time in his career. Had some good stretches. I'd like to know kind of your overall impressions of Tua in his first 300-yard game.
Best game of his career. From I don't give a shit about stats either. You know me. I don't give a damn. I could care less. I want to see, NFL player type throws. Things aren't perfect. What are you going to do? You know I'm big into that. Mm-hmm. This was the best game for Tua, in my opinion. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. There's still mistakes. But they got into a position where they didn't want to be in. And then that made them probably play a game that they probably don't want to play yet with Tua, which is like, hey, we got to drop back and throw it, and we got to kind of live on your left arm. But, I think the biggest thing is tight throws. That's where, and when I mean that, when I say tight throws, it's two different ways. Tight throws into tight coverage, where I went, there we go, Tua, I like it. Ooh, you're high-low in the corner, you got to throw a 20-yard out route between a safety and a corner. Throws it in there. Way to go, big guy. Hey, it's a crossing route. It's tight man-to-man coverage. You can't miss this throw. If you miss it behind, it's going to be a pick. You got to throw it perfect. Bam, hits the guy right in the chest. There was so many of those throws in this game. I think he made more NFL-type throws for me in the first half of this game than he has in all his starts combined at this point.
Right.
So that was very, very, uplifting and cool to see. Encouraging is the word I was looking for. Exactly right.
Jorge Pima on Twitter asked you, from what you saw from Tua, is it possible he can grow into a quarterback to build your franchise around, or are the Dolphins headed for several more years of quarterback mediocrity?
No, I think from everything I've seen so far, you can build on this. Like, again, I'm not saying I'm wowed by it like a Justin Herbert or a Joe Burrow. Okay, I'm not. But all right, so what? That doesn't mean he can't be awesome and their offense can't be awesome. Mm-hmm. The one thing he does is he does not make a lot of negative plays for the most part.
Through his first pick.
Right, through his first
6 starts, 1 pick.
He does a pretty good job for the most part not taking sacks and things like that. And then, there's a handful of plays where I go, okay, I wish he could have that back. And maybe this game isn't get to the 28-10 or 30-10 spot.
Yeah.
But he's learning on the fly, and the game got away from them. They're not built to play this way quite yet.
Right.
But either way, they came back and, like you said, made it competitive. And really, those 2 drives to give them 17 and then 24. That's as good as Tua. That's as good as I've seen. It was a great game by Tua.
And with any of these quarterbacks that we've talked about in a positive way the last couple of years, you often bring up how the team around him helps him. They're averaging a league low in yards per carry. So it's not like he's getting a lot of assists in the ground game. I know the running backs are hurt, but he doesn't have some of the assets or benefits some of the other quarterbacks do.
Agreed. You're right. And then, even like this game, they ran a few boots early, but after that, Kansas City went, wait, the run game's not that good, and we're going to stop these boots. And he went, ooh, I don't know, what's he going to do from there? All right, well, what's he going to do? He's going to carve you up from the pocket. Definitely. So, they even with the drop back pass game, I thought it was a very smart game plan. It fit them. It fits him with what he wants to do. And, there are some moments here where, if we're going to break it down real quick, like, hey, it's 7-0. The drive they're going to get the field goal on. Mm-hmm. He has a 3rd and 6 throw that he throws up to Devontae Parker for one-on-one. It wasn't a look to throw to Devontae Parker. I understand if it's man-to-man, he's running a corner route, and he's a big guy, you want to give him a one-on-one chance, but the guy was outside of him all the time. He had Grant underneath for a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying this because this is Kansas City, and 10-0 ain't good enough. You need 4.
Places in the National Football League right now, because we all love a good quarterback controversy, right? Mm-hmm. That's what everybody likes to talk about. You've had a chance now to see Jalen Hurts for a couple of games and what he's capable of doing. You saw Carson Wentz for a long time. You saw his season in 17, I think it was, that he was arguably the MVP of the league before he hurt his leg. Your impressions of what's happening in Philadelphia right now?
Well, Chris, the old adage is if you have 2 quarterbacks, you really don't have one. And it's hard. It's a hard situation to be in. I just can't imagine if I'm Carson Wentz, getting your contract, $128 million in June of 2019, and then the summer, the draft of 2020, the Eagles are drafting a quarterback in the 2nd round. Especially when you have an offense that needs more talent. You have an offense that needs more receivers, needs more playmakers, needs more offensive linemen. And so the Eagles went ahead and drafted Jalen Hurts. And now I think that started the process of Carson Wentz looking over his shoulder a little bit. And you've been around quarterbacks. You've been around a lot of different players throughout your time. It's the quarterback is a special position. Really, the quarterback and kicker are, in my mind, a special position, because when they see another kicker walk into the room or a quarterback walk into the room, that raises their eyebrow like, hold on, what's going on here? Why is that guy here? Because I'm that guy on this football team. And so when that Jalen Hurts was drafted, that kind of started that process. And this season just hasn't gone Carson's way. I mean, there's a lot of different variables, whether you're talking about injuries. I mean, there were games where you had 9 of the 11 starters out of the game. All you had was Carson Wentz and Jason Kelce. I mean, it's hard to compete in today's game like that. There were games where it didn't seem like the coaching, as far as the offensive play calls, didn't line up with some of the things that Carson does well. Moving, getting him on the edge and outside of the pocket usually is a good thing for him. And then there were just games where you just have to be honest, where Carson did not play very well. He didn't throw the ball very accurately. He didn't make very good decisions. He's holding the ball too long. And so when you combine all those things, it's almost like a perfect storm in a bad situation for Carson Wentz. And now, a couple of weeks ago, Doug said, okay, Carson, things aren't going well. Let's play the rookie. Let's see what he has. Can he give us a spark? And Jalen Hurts comes in and does exactly what he did in college. Be a leader, be poised in the pocket, have great presence, command the offense, have a spark. And so now he's doing all those things in the same season where your starter, your franchise guy, Carson Wentz, has struggled mightily. And now you have this big-time quarterback controversy, especially after the game last week, where he, in my opinion, he outdo Kyler Murray. He was certainly going touchdown for touchdown, pass for pass with Kyler Murray. And now you have to ask the question, what do you do next year? I mean, there's a lot of questions about the coach, about the GM. The question now is, okay, Carson has this big, salary cap situation. You have a young quarterback that's played well these last couple of games. What do you do at this point? And it's not a great place to be in. The Eagles are going to have to make some serious decisions this year because they got a young guy in Jalen Hurts that can really spin the ball. He gets guys inspired, which you kind of saw with Tua early in the season when he came in. I mean, just think about it. I kind of relate these two stories together. When Tua came in, his defense played better than they were playing good already. But his defense stepped up. They scored a touchdown. His special team scored a touchdown the first game. This second game, the defense scored another touchdown. They helped, and he helped to inspire that football team. Same type of thing that we're seeing here with Jalen Hurts. Now you have to figure out, is this sustainable with Jalen Hurts, or is this something that may be a flash in the pan, or and he's not going to be the leader for next year? A very difficult decision for the Philadelphia Eagles franchise.
You're like baiting me with every single one of these. So.
It's not going to stop on this one.
Oh, good.
He only has 2 career starts, but I'm going to say Jalen Hurts over Tua right now.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's an overreaction right now. But, I mean, he has more pizzazz and wow and pop games so far, yeah. He's in his first 2.5 games that he's played, he's had far more wow moments than Tua's only wow moment was in Arizona. I mean, we haven't really talked about, boy, that was an incredible performance by Tua, but he's also got different tools, different weapons, different team, different everything. So
buying stock for the next 5 years. Who do you buy?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Based on the last 2 weeks, I take Jalen Hurts.
I'm just saying, I think it's an interesting topic that we can hit on.
I agree. I'll just say again for the moment, you're asking me this alone, overreaction. I'll say it's an overreaction because it's just 2 weeks.
All right, next up.